Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohio. So today we're going to be looking at this shocking new update coming out of my home states of Ohio, the Senate race here. We have a major endorsement, and that is that current Senator Rob Portman, who's retiring after this cycle, has just endorsed Jane Timken for U.S. Senate. This is a very interesting development because Rob Portman, as you know, is a former. He's the current senator, and he won an absolute landslide in 2016. He did very well in 2016. He won a lot of these critical, more suburban counties, especially Hamilton County, where Cincinnati is, Dayton, and a lot of places in Northeast Ohio. But he also did very poorly compared to fellow Republicans like Trump in places like Mahoning County, other parts of the more working class, more rural southern parts of the state. And it's very interesting that Rob Portman did very poorly there. And because, simply put, he's very bad on all the issues. I mean, this is Ohio. This is a Republican trending state. It's a populist state. It's a based state. It's a working class state. It's a blue collar state. This is a state that we should have a solid, really good populist candidate in. But instead, we have Rob Portman, who is just awful on all the issues. Whether it be immigration, he opposed the border wall at first, and he opposed Trump's Muslim ban. He wrote letters saying that we should keep the southern border open to Trump, along with 13 other senators, of which the majority was Democrats. He's bad on trade. He's semi-protectionist, but is still pretty much free trade. Foreign policy, all he does is shield for Israel, and he wants to send our troops overseas, and he's basically a Bush on foreign policy. And then he caves on social issues. I mean, the only thing he's really holding up on is abortion. Every other social issue you can think of, Rob Portman has absolutely caved on. And I mean, even in 2016, when he did very well in this election, the Tea Party and other more conservative factions of the GOP considered primary him. And really, the only reason he did so well in this part of the state was because he was supported by Donald Trump. Trump really carried him across the finish line in a lot of these counties, and that's the reason he won by such a big margin. Granted, the reason he won by such a big margin was because obviously he did very well in the more populated, more suburban parts of the county, because he is pretty much a generic Republican. But like I said, Trump. A lot of the reason that Summit County isn't blue, Mahoning County isn't blue, these counties are likely instead of lean, is because Trump really carried the Republican Party as a whole, especially Rob Portman with his policies, over the hill. We go back to 2010. As you can see, it would have looked like this. As you can see, back in 2010, he lost Mahoning County. He lost a bunch of these counties. He didn't lose. He only lost two. But as you can see, a lot of them are just lean R. They're much more. They're much closer than they were in the past. But I mean, they're much closer. Look at 2016. He did very well there. That is because Trump pulled him over the finish line. And when we look at the 2022 Senate race in Ohio, we look at these two counties, Hamilton County and Montgomery County, where Dayton and Cincinnati are. These counties. The reason that Rob Portman won by such a huge margin was because these counties really came out and heavy for him, and Rob Portman did very well there. But these counties have taken massive trends to the left. Let's look at the 2020 presidential election. Trump got absolutely hammered in these states. I mean, these counties. Excuse me. Trump lost both of these by 50 to 60%. He did not do very well there, but he did do very well in this part of the state. So the issue with Rob Portman and a candidate like Rob Portman, which is Jane Timken, is she may struggle to even win the race. I mean, if she gets Rob Portman's margins in 2010, which is very possible. I mean, Rob Portman in 2010, he was still Rob Portman. I mean, he's going to get these horrible margins because in this part of the state, because he's not popular with the white working class, and nor should he be. His policies don't benefit them; they do more harm than good to this group of people in this part of the state that has become a Republican voting bloc. And if we get Jane Timken, who is going to perform very poorly in this same area. And then obviously she's not going to do very well in Hamilton County and this part of the state because it's a D trending area. And Timken could possibly win Montgomery County. Montgomery County is more of a swing county, but still this whole part is more suburban, more Republican, former Republican leaning part of the state, now more of a swing part of the state. Well, the Cincinnati Metro is still pretty Republican, but Hamilton County were a lot. The Cincinnati Metro is really weird politically. I should make a video about it, but that's besides the point. Is that Jane Timken, if she gets 2010 Rob Portman margins, which she is, she's a more Rob Portman kind of candidate. She's more of a neocon. She's more of an establishment Republican. She's not going to do very well with white working class voters, especially against Tim Ryan. Everyone gives Tim Ryan a lot of grief, but Tim Ryan will do pretty well against these voters, against someone like Rob Portman or Jane Timken. And so if Jane Timken gets shelled in this part of the state, and she gets shelled in this part of the state, which is very possible. I would not be surprised if Hamilton County continued to trend to the left, especially against Jane Timken, because Jane Timken, we really would have been the candidate for a lot of this area, but I would not be surprised if it turned to the left. And so if she gets bad margins here, suddenly we're looking at a pretty competitive race that Tim Ryan could possibly pick off and win. I seriously doubt it, but I am just saying that Rob Portman is awful on the issues, and his electability in Ohio is waning. And Jane Timken would just be she'd be Rob Portman Part 2, and her electability would be even less so than that of Rob Portman. We need a populist who's going to win over these counties, the more rural, white working class counties, will also hold the line in this part of the state, which is why I support someone like J.D. Vance. I mean, if you look at J.D. Vance, he's very popular. He's with the white working classes. He wrote a whole book about their struggles, and he really cares about them. So he would do very well in this part of the state. He might even outperform Trump in places like Mahoning County. But he would also do very well in the Cincinnati area because he's originally from there. There is such a thing as a home field advantage, and so with J.D. Vance originally being from this part of the state, it would not surprise me if he actually outperformed expectations. Maybe he won Montgomery and maybe made Hamilton County a little closer. So with that, this is the update on the race. As you can see, Jane Timken, she's only pulling about 8% anyway. I highly doubt this endorsement by Rob Portman is really going to do a whole lot for her. She might do a few points better in some like neocon Biden Republican parts of like Cincinnati. She might improve by a few points, but we don't want those people. I'd rather those people keep voting Democrat and we get the more based, populist, paleo conservative, actual conservative people supporting our party. So with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to like and subscribe for more.